Welcome back, guys. Your boy Lux is here for you. I want to make sure that you guys are getting this juicy epoxy information. All right, so we're gonna literally turn you how you can turn your liquid to cash, guys. Let's jump into it. Today, what I want to talk about is delamination. Delamination is literally the worst thing that can happen to you when it comes to epoxy, especially when you're doing a metallic installation. It is also very important because delamination happens when you do not prep well. Okay, so if you do not prep your floors well, you're going to get delamination. And pretty much what delamination is when the floor starts chipping. Starts breaking up like flakes. And usually it happens between 6 months to a year of poor prepping. So what is delamination? Delamination is when the epoxy loses the bond with the surface it's on. So the surface could be concrete, the surface could be wood, the surface could be tile, whatever the case may be. Delamination is just when the epoxy loses the bond with it. Okay, so it kind of loses the grip and it starts to delaminate and start to flip over, and guess what happens? Sometimes somebody might walk on it, or somebody might hit it, or accidentally, you know, the wind can even blow on it, and boom, it starts to crack and break. And if you installed a job like that with a lot of delaminations, best believe your customer is going to be calling you back. So how do we stop our customers from calling us? And we're about to jump right into it. So this is how you stop your customers from calling you. You just got to prep well. That's literally it. You have to prep well. Remember, epoxy is an adhesive, so it needs to bond to something. Okay, so what usually happens is in your prep, you use what is called a grinder for concrete. You want to grind the concrete. The grinding the concrete does two things. The very first thing is, one, it removes dirt, germs, bacteria, fungus, more dirt of the floor. And second, it creates a bonding for the epoxy to bond onto. This is why everybody suggests that you always have to grind the floors first, because as you're grinding the floors, you're creating more bond, which reduce the delamination from happening. Okay, now I understand that there's a learning curve to using the grinders, because once you start jumping into it, especially if you're very new with epoxy, you probably don't know how to work that machine, and that's okay. There is an alternative. Now, there's an alternative that comes with a caveat. Okay, so the alternative is what I call a liquid sander or liquid glass. That's what I use. You guys have seen the videos of me using liquid glass. If you haven't, check out my liquid glass video. You can see exactly what liquid glass is. But I call it a liquid sander because what it does is it sticks to everything. So liquid glass has MMA in it, which literally makes sure that it bonds and sticks to whatever. It can even stick to glass. All right. So what it does is liquid glass is like a sealer that sticks to anything. So if you have a smooth floor, again, this is the caveat. The floor has to be smooth or almost level or clean. So usually if you're doing a client's floors and they just got new concrete, you don't really need to sand it. You could use the liquid glass. If you're redoing an epoxy job, so if a customer calls you because somebody did a crappy epoxy job, and because you're watching these videos, you know exactly how to do the epoxy the right way, and you're doing the epoxy over, you can use liquid glass. If you're working on tile, okay, tile, you do not need to break the tiles up. I know a lot of people think that, okay, you know, you have to rip out the old tile to install new epoxy. You do not need to do that. You can use the liquid glass. What it's going to do is it's going to stick to tile, because again, it sticks to glass, which means it can stick to tile, and you could create that primer. Okay, so once it creates that level of surface of primer, boom, you could go ahead and you can start your epoxy process, baby. All right, so as I said, what delamination literally is, we just jump back into the video. Delamination just is when the floor isn't properly prepped, which means that there's more dirt on the floor. There's nothing for the epoxy to bond on, and if it doesn't have anything to bond on, boom, it comes off, and that's how delamination happens. All right, guys. Hopefully you guys have found this video informative. Go out there and turn your liquid to some cash. I'll see you guys in the other video. Make sure to like and subscribe. All right. See you guys in the other video.